Skyscrapers are sold out before they are even built. Luxury properties change hands at record pace, and a tide of new investors is rewriting Dubai's future. The city's property market just shattered 682 billion dirhams in transactions last year, growth that rivals any global boom. But as prices climb over 15% in less than 12 months and population surges by nearly 500 people a day, a hard question emerges: is this just the next stage of Dubai's unstoppable rise, or are the seeds of another high-risk cycle already taking root? The answer lies in who is actually fueling this boom and how quickly confidence could shift. Dubai's property market is running at a pace not seen anywhere else in the region. In 2025, sales of residential properties reached more than 202,000 transactions, a figure nearly 5 times higher than just 4 years earlier. The total value of these deals soared to 682 billion dirhams, with January 2026 alone recording 111 billion dirhams in transactions, an 88% jump compared to the same month a year before, according to the Dubai Land Department. Transaction volumes are not only setting records, they are accelerating. The first half of 2025 saw 94,000 residential sales, up 23% year-on-year, with transaction values climbing nearly 38% to 262.7 billion dirhams. Off-plan sales, where buyers commit before completion, now account for more than 60% of all residential deals. This surge is powered by a wave of new launches, with over 150,000 units announced in 2025 alone. Prices are rising just as quickly. The Rating Price Index shows residential values up 15.6% year-on-year, with apartments gaining over 15% and villas nearly 18% in the same period. Median asking prices for apartments jumped 12% in the first quarter of 2025, while villas rose 8%. In some segments, like two-bedroom apartments, the increase reached 17%. The scale of this boom is visible across the city's skyline, but it is also mapped in the numbers. Dubai Marina alone accounted for around 12% of all residential sales, reflecting the concentration of demand in prime areas. The market's momentum is being driven not just by returning investors, but by a diverse base of buyers, including first-time homeowners, international capital, and residents seeking new opportunities. With population growth exceeding 470 new residents each day, and a supply pipeline aiming to deliver over 300,000 new units by 2028, the numbers point to a city in the midst of extraordinary expansion. But the true test lies beyond these dashboards: who is buying and what happens when the cycle turns. Every morning, hundreds of new residents step off flights at Dubai International, joining a population that now grows by more than 470 people each day. The city's official population passed 4 million in 2025, with government forecasts expecting from 175,000 to 225,000 arrivals in the coming year. It is not just the numbers that matter, it is who these newcomers are and why they are coming. Visa reforms have changed the equation. Long-term residency, investor visas, and golden permits have made Dubai more than a stopover. They have made it a destination for skilled migrants, entrepreneurs, and global families seeking stability and opportunity. The Digital Dubai Initiative and new business-friendly rules have drawn in tech professionals, financiers, and remote workers who see the city as both a hub and a haven. On the ground, this shift is visible in the sales data. Non-residents now account for the fastest-growing share of buyers, especially in luxury and branded developments. In the first half of 2024, foreign buyer transaction volumes climbed more than 30% year-on-year. Yet resident buyers, long-term expatriates, and first-time homeowners still drive the bulk of volumes in established neighborhoods, seeking security as rents climb and mortgage rates ease. Demand is concentrated in the city's best-known districts. Dubai Marina, Palm Jumeirah, and downtown together account for a significant portion of all residential transactions, with Dubai Marina alone representing about 12% of sales. Villas in low-density, family-oriented communities have seen prices rise more than 200% since the pandemic, as buyers prioritize space and lifestyle. For many, the appeal is as much about policy as property. Tax-free status, personal safety, and the promise of a cosmopolitan lifestyle are powerful motivators. As one recent buyer put it, "Dubai offers the stability and growth I couldn't find elsewhere." This diverse international pool of buyers is fueling the market's momentum and setting the stage for the next phase, where off-plan sales and new launches will test just how deep demand really runs. A property launch in Dubai begins long before the first crane rises. Developers secure project approval from the Dubai Land Department and set up escrow accounts to protect buyer funds. The off-plan cycle kicks off with a reservation, often just a 5 to 10% down payment, followed by staged installments tied to construction milestones. For many buyers, the appeal is clear: new inventory, flexible payment terms, and the chance to lock in prices before completion. By the time a project reaches 40% construction, banks release mortgage funds and developers can draw from escrow after an independent inspection. This system has become the engine of Dubai's market. In 2025, off-plan sales made up over 60% of all residential transactions. According to the Dubai Land Department, that translates to more than 149,000 off-plan deals last year alone. The scale is unprecedented. Developers announced over 150,000 new units in 2025, with launches ranging from luxury towers in downtown to sprawling villa communities on the city's edge. The typical off-plan timeline follows a clear path: reservation, installments during construction, handover, then either rental or resale. For developers, pre-sales finance construction and reduce reliance on bank loans. For buyers, the process offers access to properties that may not be available in the ready market, often with incentives like post-handover payment plans or waived fees. This surge in launches and transactions is reshaping Dubai's skyline and its market structure. Developers, armed with strong cash flow from pre-sales, compete to offer the most attractive terms. Brokers and marketing agencies amplify demand through limited-time offers and high-profile events. The result is a market where the majority of new supply enters the pipeline years before completion, with much of the risk and the opportunity riding on the successful delivery of these promises. Escrow accounts and staged payments were designed to protect buyers from the worst risks of off-plan purchases. Under Dubai Land Department rules, developers can only draw from escrow once construction milestones are independently verified, and mortgage funds are released only after a project reaches 40% completion. On paper, this system should prevent the kind of runaway speculation and unfinished towers that haunted the city in the past. But the reality is more complicated. Buyers are drawn in by offers of low booking fees, flexible installments, and promises of post-handover payment plans. Brokers, working on commission, often push units aggressively, sometimes to buyers with little intention of ever taking possession. Assignment sales, where the original buyer sells the contract before completion, have become a common way to profit from price appreciation, but also expose the market to rapid reversals if sentiment cools. In 2025, off-plan resales began to slow, with some brokers reporting a drop in assignment activity as handover dates neared. Completion delays remain a persistent risk. In 2025, only 42,000 units were handed over out of more than 150,000 launched, a shortfall that has become a familiar pattern. Buyers expecting keys often face months of waiting, and while most major developers have improved delivery rates since the post-2008 reforms, the gap between launches and handovers is difficult to ignore. Disputes over handover quality and delayed possession are regularly filed with the Dubai Land Department, though official statistics on their frequency are not published. Market observers warn that if too many projects miss their delivery targets, confidence in off-plan could erode quickly, especially among first-time buyers and international investors less familiar with local processes. A developer spokesperson insists that escrow and regulatory oversight have made Dubai's off-plan system safer than ever, yet the system's reliance on continuous demand and smooth execution leaves little margin for error. When incentives drive the cycle, the risk is that the promise outpaces the product. The next test will come as the city's infrastructure faces the strain of absorbing so many new homes at once. Cooling is the silent engine behind Dubai's vertical expansion. In a city where summer temperatures routinely exceed 45 degrees Celsius, air conditioning is not a luxury, it is a survival tool. District cooling is now mandated for major new developments. It delivers chilled water from centralized plants to entire districts, cutting energy use by half compared to traditional in-building systems. Operators like Tabreed and Empower have expanded capacity to meet relentless demand. Tabreed's latest project on Palm Jebel Ali is set to deliver 250,000 refrigeration tons, supporting waterfront towers and hotels. Empower's Business Bay network, already the world's largest, is adding another 50,000 tons this year, bringing its total to 350,000. Dubai's district cooling sector is projected to reach 5.68 million tons by 2030, up from 4 million in 2024, a 6% annual growth rate. Officials estimate that by 2030, 40% of the city's cooling needs will be met by these systems, saving around 650 gigawatt hours of electricity every year, based on 2020 benchmarks. That is enough to power tens of thousands of homes. The efficiency is not just technical, it is financial. Centralized cooling reduces operational costs by up to 20% over a building's lifetime, a relief for both landlords and tenants as energy prices fluctuate. Despite these gains, the city's appetite for cooling is growing faster than any single system can handle. Operators warn that as new towers come online, peak loads will climb sharply, especially in the hottest months. Every new launch adds pressure to keep the grid stable and bills manageable. For now, district cooling is holding the line, but the margin for error is shrinking. Dubai's thirst for growth is measured not just in energy, but in water. Every new tower, landscaped boulevard, and artificial lagoon draws from a system almost entirely reliant on desalination. By 2024, Dubai's daily water demand reached 1.05 billion imperial gallons, with desalination plants producing nearly 1.02 billion, an increase of more than a third since 2020, according to DEWA. This expansion is driven by both population growth and the resource intensity of real estate. In peak summer, demand can spike by 30 to 40%. As construction, pools, and cooling systems all compete for supply to keep pace, Dubai has invested billions in advanced desalination technology. The UAE desalination equipment market was valued at $7.2 billion in 2025 and is projected to grow by over 10% annually through 2032. Operators prioritize seawater use and introduce technology upgrades to reduce freshwater consumption and limit marine impact. At the same time, recycling now covers one-third of the city's water needs, with a target of reaching 50% by 2030. Urban growth intensifies these pressures. With over 300,000 new homes expected by 2028, the strain on water systems will only increase. Policy targets now require that by 2030, 40% of Dubai's cooling demand is met through district cooling, systems that use far less water and energy than traditional air conditioning. This dual focus on desalination scale and efficient cooling is not just about keeping up with demand, it is about ensuring that the physical foundation of the real estate boom does not become its greatest risk. In late 2008, Dubai's real estate market slammed into a wall. Prices that had soared for years collapsed in a matter of months. Official indices from the Dubai Land Department show values in some areas dropped by more than half between 2008 and 2010. The crash was not just about lost value, it exposed the fragility of a market built on unchecked off-plan sales, easy credit, and limited oversight. Thousands of buyers found themselves locked into contracts for homes that were never finished, while developers struggled to stay solvent as liquidity dried up almost overnight. The aftermath forced a reckoning. In response, the government created the Real Estate Regulatory Agency, known as RERA, in 2007 and expanded its powers after the crash. New laws required every off-plan project to be registered, with buyer payments held in escrow accounts at approved banks. Developers could only access these funds once independent inspectors confirmed that specific construction milestones had been met. Law 13, passed in 2008, spelled out developer obligations and established the OCUD system for off-plan registration, making it harder for rogue projects to slip through the cracks. Mortgage lending also came under scrutiny. The UAE Central Bank introduced loan-to-value caps, limiting how much buyers could borrow against a property, typically 75 to 80% for residents and less for non-residents. These measures aim to curb speculative borrowing and ensure that buyers had real equity at stake. Transparency requirements tightened, with developers facing stricter disclosure rules and ongoing monitoring by regulators. An independent analyst puts it simply: the guardrails now in place, escrow, registration, lending caps, are direct responses to the pain of 2008. They do not erase risk, but they force discipline. The scars of that crash linger in every contract and every construction site. Today's safeguards are not just policy, they are a living memory of what happens when the market runs without brakes. Dubai's supply pipeline is now the single biggest number on every analyst's dashboard. Nearly 366,000 new homes are scheduled for delivery by 2028, with the sharpest wave hitting in 2026 and 2027. In the next 2 years alone, more than 83,000 units are expected to reach completion, testing the market's ability to absorb inventory at a pace rarely seen in global real estate. Broker reports track this pipeline week by week, flagging the risk that if handovers outpace new demand, prices and rents could soften, especially in non-prime districts. Market forecasts from agencies like Fitch Ratings point to a possible moderate correction from the second half of 2025 onward, driven by this supply surge. Their outlook stops short of predicting a crash. They note that prime segments such as Palm Jumeirah and downtown are likely to remain more resilient, while mid-market and outer districts face greater pressure if absorption lags. A watch list of key indicators now guides both investors and policymakers. The first is new supply versus absorption. For example, Dubai Land Department handover figures like the 42,000 units delivered in 2025, compared against population growth and transaction volumes. The second is rent direction in non-prime areas, where early signs of softening could signal oversupply. Transaction volumes, especially for off-plan resales, are closely monitored for any sign of sudden drops in demand. Mortgage rates set by the UAE Central Bank influence affordability and investor appetite, while developer incentives such as discounts, waived fees, or extended payment plans reveal when sellers need to work harder to close deals. These metrics form a real-time dashboard for Dubai's real estate cycle. They do not predict the future, but they make it possible to track the market's health as conditions change. For anyone watching Dubai's property story, these are the signals that matter most. Dubai's skyline keeps climbing, but so do the stakes. As the city's population grows by over 100,000 per year, every new tower tests the limits of energy, water, and livability. Real estate fortunes here are built on rapid change. Yet resilience, not just returns, will decide who endures. The real risk is not a bubble, it is complacency. What do you see in Dubai's future?